2 hours of money psychology to fall asleep to. Foundations of money psychology. Money is an inescapable part of our lives. Each of us interacts with it daily, earning it, spending it, saving it, worrying about it. At first glance, it might seem simple. Pieces of paper, chunks of metal, or numbers on a screen. Yet the reality is that money is far more complex. It carries meaning that goes far beyond its face value. It shapes how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we envision our future. It's not just a financial instrument, it's a psychological, social, and cultural force. To understand the deeper significance of money, we have to trace its origins. Imagine a time before currency existed, when trade depended solely on barter. In small communities, a farmer might trade a sack of grain for a fisherman's catch, or a weaver might swap cloth for a blacksmith's tools. While practical in tightly knit groups, this system had its limits. It was cumbersome, requiring a double coincidence of wants. Both parties needed to desire what the other offered at the same time and in the same place. If a farmer needed a pot but the potter didn't want grain, the farmer would have to find someone who did want grain and who had something the potter desired. Trade became a long, intricate chain of exchanges. As communities grew and their economies expanded, barter alone could no longer keep up. Enter the concept of money. Initially, people used items of intrinsic value, rare shells, beads, or pieces of precious metal, to facilitate trade. These objects were portable, durable, and widely desired, making them a reliable measure of value. Over time, societies refined this idea, minting coins stamped with recognizable symbols. This innovation didn't just simplify transactions, it introduced a powerful new concept: standardized value. Suddenly, a coin wasn't just a piece of metal, it was a promise, a representation of trust and reliability. It allowed people to exchange goods and services without the need for direct barter, enabling trade to flourish and economies to grow. Yet even in these early forms, money was more than a practical tool. It began to carry symbolic meaning. In many cultures, gold and silver coins came to represent stability and prestige. A person's wealth, and by extension, their social standing, was tied to the amount of precious metal they possessed. Over time, money became a measure of not just material wealth, but personal success, influence, and power. The very look and feel of a coin, its weight, its gleam, its engraved symbols, evoked a sense of importance. To hold money was to hold possibility, security, and the respect of one's peers. As economies grew more complex, so did money. Paper currency emerged as a lighter, more convenient alternative to carrying heavy coins. Initially, these notes were backed by gold or silver reserves. A piece of paper might declare that it could be redeemed for a specific amount of precious metal, ensuring trust in its value. But as time went on, the link between paper money and physical reserves faded. Paper notes were no longer exchanged for gold. Instead, their value was based on trust in the issuing government. This shift marked a significant psychological leap. Money's worth became less about tangible assets and more about collective belief. People accepted paper bills not because they could see the gold behind them, but because they trusted that others would accept them in turn. Money's power now lay in its symbolic and social function. The transition from coins to paper to digital currency further expanded money's psychological impact. Today, many of us rarely handle physical money at all. Our earnings are deposited directly into bank accounts. Our purchases are made with credit cards or mobile apps, and our savings are represented by numbers on a screen. Despite the disappearance of physical cash, the emotions tied to money remain as strong as ever. A growing balance in a savings account still feels like security. A sudden drop in investment value still sparks anxiety. The abstraction of money has not diminished its influence. If anything, it has deepened it. In a digital world, money is no longer something we touch. It's something we believe in, a shared understanding that transcends the material. What's remarkable is how much of our emotional relationship with money is shaped by culture. Different societies view money through unique lenses, imbuing it with their own values and expectations. In some cultures, saving is a virtue, a sign of prudence and responsibility. Families pride themselves on accumulating wealth over generations, seeing it as a source of stability and security. In other cultures, spending is celebrated as a mark of success and confidence. A lavish purchase might signal that you've made it, that you can afford to enjoy life and share your good fortune with others. Even the way we discuss money, whether we talk about it openly or keep it private, whether we see it as a personal matter or a communal one, varies across cultural lines. These cultural narratives shape not only how we use money, but how we feel about it, influencing every financial decision we make. Our individual experiences with money are deeply rooted in these cultural and historical contexts, but they are also profoundly personal. From an early age, we absorb messages about money from our families, our communities, and our own experiences. We learn how to earn it, how to spend it, and how to think about it. These lessons shape our money scripts, the underlying beliefs and attitudes that guide our financial behaviors. Some of us grow up with the belief that money is scarce and must be carefully guarded. Others internalize the idea that money is there to be enjoyed, to make life easier and more pleasurable. Still others see money as a source of stress, a constant reminder of what we lack or what we owe. These scripts run deep, often influencing our financial decisions without us even realizing it. Understanding these scripts is key to understanding our relationship with money. For example, someone who views money as security might be diligent about saving, but hesitant to take financial risks. Someone who sees money as freedom might prioritize spending on travel or experiences, even if it means dipping into savings. These beliefs aren't inherently good or bad. They simply reflect the values and fears we've carried with us through life. By examining our money scripts, we can begin to untangle the emotions behind our financial choices. We can ask ourselves why we feel anxious about spending, why we find it hard to save, or why we equate wealth with self-worth. In doing so, we gain the ability to make more mindful, intentional decisions. The emotional weight of money becomes especially evident in times of change or crisis. A sudden job loss, an unexpected expense, or a major life event can trigger intense feelings of fear, guilt, or uncertainty. We might worry about making ends meet, feel ashamed of our financial situation, or question whether we've been managing our money wisely. These moments reveal just how deeply money is tied to our sense of security and identity. They also highlight the importance of resilience, both financial and emotional. Developing a healthy relationship with money isn't just about building wealth. It's about understanding how our emotions influence our choices and finding ways to cope with the uncertainties that money inevitably brings. As we reflect on the foundations of money psychology, it becomes clear that money is far more than a means of exchange. It is a symbol of trust, a measure of value, and a powerful force in our personal and cultural narratives. It influences how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we navigate the world. By exploring its history, understanding its cultural significance, and examining our own beliefs, we can develop a deeper, more balanced perspective on money. In doing so, we not only improve our financial well-being, but also gain insight into the human experience itself. Cognitive biases and heuristics. When we think about money, it's tempting to believe we approach our financial decisions logically and carefully. After all, financial matters are often framed as mathematical and strategic. Numbers to crunch, budgets to balance, percentages to analyze. And yet, time and time again, we find ourselves caught in patterns that defy reason. We hold on to investments that keep falling, spend windfalls more freely than earned income, and gravitate towards sale prices that may not be true bargains. These decisions aren't random. They're shaped by subtle psychological forces known as cognitive biases and heuristics. By understanding these biases, we can begin to unravel the unseen influences on our behavior, ultimately making more thoughtful and effective financial choices. Loss aversion, the fear of losing out. One of the most well-studied cognitive biases is loss aversion. The concept is simple but powerful. We feel the pain of losing something more intensely than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. For example, if someone offers you a coin toss where you'll win $100 on heads but lose $100 on tails, the prospect of losing the money feels far more distressing than the potential gain is exciting. This imbalance, our heightened sensitivity to loss, shapes countless financial decisions. Consider investing. A portfolio's value drops after a bad week on the stock market. Even if the overall trend suggests that the market will recover, the emotional weight of that temporary loss can lead to panic selling. The logical course might be to hold steady or even buy more at lower prices, but loss aversion can prompt the opposite response. Similarly, in personal spending, the fear of wasting money can keep us from trying something new, like investing in a course, a small business venture, or even a high-quality product, because the potential for loss looms larger in our minds than the potential benefit. Overcoming loss aversion requires recognizing it for what it is, an emotional response rather than a rational analysis. Mental accounting, the buckets in our minds. Loss aversion often works hand in hand with another bias known as mental accounting. This is the tendency to treat money differently depending on where it comes from or how it's labeled in our minds. Imagine receiving a $1,000 tax refund. Many people think of that money as a bonus, a windfall that's safe to spend on something fun or indulgent. In contrast, earning an extra $1,000 through overtime work might feel like hard-earned money, and you're more likely to save or invest it. The value of the money is identical, but the source changes how we perceive it. Mental accounting extends beyond how we categorize income. It also influences spending. People often set aside specific funds for certain purposes: fun money, emergency savings, vacation funds, and treat each categories differently. This compartmentalization can help with budgeting, but it can also lead to irrational behavior. For instance, someone might diligently save for a vacation while simultaneously carrying high-interest credit card debt. Logically, it would make more sense to pay off the debt first, but mental accounting keeps the vacation fund untouchable. Recognizing that all money is ultimately fungible, that is, interchangeable, can help us see our finances more clearly and make more efficient use of our resources. Anchoring, the power of the first number. Another cognitive bias that shapes financial decisions is anchoring. This occurs when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter, often a price, an initial offer, or a baseline figure. Once an anchor is set, it becomes a reference point that colors all subsequent judgments. Retailers are masters of using anchoring to their advantage. For example, They might list an item's original price as $100, then mark it down to $60. The $100 anchor makes the $60 sale price feel like a great deal, even if the true market value of the item is closer to $40. Anchoring doesn't just happen at the mall. It can influence big financial decisions too. Think about negotiating a salary. If the first offer is $50,000, that number becomes the anchor around which all subsequent discussions revolve. A counteroffer of $55,000 might feel substantial compared to the anchor, even if it's still below the market rate. Recognizing when anchoring is at play helps us reframe the situation. Instead of fixating on the first number presented, we can gather more information, set our own benchmarks, and approach decisions with a more objective perspective. Confirmation bias. Seeing what we want to see. Confirmation bias is another powerful force in our financial lives. This is the tendency to seek out information that supports our existing beliefs and to dismiss or ignore evidence that contradicts them. For example, if you believe that a particular stock is a smart investment, you might focus on news articles and analyst reports that highlight its strengths. At the same time, you might overlook warnings about market volatility or the company's underlying financial health. Confirmation bias can create an echo chamber, reinforcing decisions even when they're flawed. Over time, this can lead to overconfidence in our financial abilities and a reluctance to consider alternative strategies. Combating confirmation bias means actively seeking out diverse perspectives, questioning our assumptions, and being willing to change course when new evidence emerges. Overconfidence. Believing we're better than we are closely related to confirmation bias is the overconfidence effect. Many of us like to think we're above average when it comes to managing money. We believe we can pick winning stocks, time the market, or find the best deals. But studies consistently show that people tend to overestimate their financial knowledge and skill. This overconfidence can lead to risky behavior, such as concentrating investments in a single stock, failing to diversify, or making speculative bets without proper research. Overconfidence is especially dangerous in rising markets or during periods of economic stability, when it's easy to mistake luck for skill. A few positive outcomes can reinforce the belief that we're exceptional money managers. But when the market turns, that overconfidence can leave us exposed. Recognizing our own fallibility, admitting that we don't always know best, can help us approach financial decisions with greater humility and caution. It can also lead us to seek professional advice, diversify our portfolios, and maintain a long-term perspective rather than chasing short-term gains. The interplay of biases. These biases, loss aversion, mental accounting, anchoring, confirmation bias, and overconfidence, don't operate in isolation. They interact in complex ways, shaping our financial behavior in ways we may not even notice. For example, imagine someone receives a small inheritance. Mental accounting might lead them to treat this money as a separate bucket from their regular savings. Anchoring could influence their choice of investments as they compare potential options to the initial value of the inheritance, rather than considering broader market conditions. Confirmation bias might cause them to focus on information that supports their chosen strategy, while overconfidence leads them to believe they can manage this windfall without professional guidance. And if the investments lose value, loss aversion might cause them to hold on longer than they should, hoping to avoid the pain of admitting a loss. Understanding these dynamics is the first step toward overcoming them. By recognizing the patterns, we can begin to question our automatic reactions. Instead of instinctively clinging to a losing investment, we can pause and consider the broader market outlook. Instead of treating windfalls differently from earned income, we can integrate them into our overall financial plan. Instead of relying on initial anchors, we can research multiple options and establish our own benchmarks, developing a balanced approach. Ultimately, financial decision-making is as much an emotional process as it is a logical one. Our cognitive biases reflect the ways our brains try to simplify complex choices, but they can also lead us astray. The key is not to eliminate these biases, an impossible task, but to be aware of them and to build habits that counteract their influence. For instance, creating a solid financial plan can help reduce the impact of loss aversion by establishing clear, long-term goals and strategies. We're less likely to react impulsively to short-term fluctuations. Setting up an automatic savings plan or a well-diversified investment portfolio can help us avoid the pitfalls of mental accounting and overconfidence. Seeking out multiple perspectives and regularly reviewing our decisions can counteract confirmation bias. And when negotiating or comparing options, taking the time to research thoroughly can prevent us from anchoring too heavily on the first figure we see. Cognitive biases and heuristics are a natural part of how we think. They're not flaws to be erased, but patterns to be understood. By shining a light on these psychological forces, we can approach our financial choices with greater awareness, making decisions that serve not just our short-term preferences, but our long-term goals. In doing so, we take a crucial step toward financial health and emotional resilience. Emotional drivers of financial behavior. Money is more than numbers on a balance sheet or coins in a pocket. It's a force that moves us, a presence that shapes our lives and drives our choices in ways both subtle and profound. We might like to think we're rational creatures when it comes to our finances, measuring, calculating, always making the best decisions. But the truth is that our relationship with money is deeply emotional, guided by invisible currents of fear, guilt, excitement, and longing. These feelings influence not only our personal decisions, but the tides of entire markets, the rise and fall of economies, and even the dynamics of our closest relationships. To understand money's true power, we must delve into these emotional forces and consider how they shape the way we earn, spend, save, and invest. When we picture a booming market, it's easy to feel a sense of shared excitement. Stocks are climbing, headlines gleam with promise, and optimism sweeps through communities, conversations, and news outlets. There's a buzz in the air, a belief that the good times will keep rolling. It's not just data driving these reactions, it's emotion. Greed may be an uncomfortable word for it, but at its heart, it's the human desire for more. More security, more opportunities, more comfort. People are driven to buy into the market, not only because they believe it's a sound financial decision, but because everyone else is doing it. This collective enthusiasm builds on itself. As people witness friends, family, and strangers prospering, the fear of missing out sets in, prompting more and more individuals to jump aboard. It becomes less about careful planning and more about riding the wave of opportunity. But just as quickly as the wave rises, it can crash. The once celebrated optimism evaporates, replaced by anxiety. Stock prices drop, headlines turn dire, and the conversations shift from what's gained to what's lost. Fear takes over. Even those who know that markets are cyclical, who've been told to think long-term, find themselves questioning their decisions. Should they sell before things get worse? Should they pull out and protect what's left? The pain of watching their portfolio shrink feels far more immediate and real than the distant hope of recovery. This is the emotional pendulum that drives market cycles. Greed pulling one way, fear pulling the other. And while we might like to think we're immune to these swings, even the most seasoned investors often find themselves caught in the emotional current. Yet, the emotional influences on our financial decisions aren't limited to the peaks and valleys of the stock market. Even in our daily spending habits, feelings play a central role. Imagine the quiet guilt that creeps in after splurging on a luxury item, a designer handbag, an extravagant dinner, a high-tech gadget. At first, there's joy, a sense of reward for hard work. But later, a small voice starts to ask, was that really necessary? Could I have used that money more wisely? That voice can linger, turning what was meant to be a treat into a source of discomfort. Over time, these moments accumulate, creating a pattern of second-guessing and self-reproach. We might begin to feel that we're not managing our money responsibly, even if our financial situation is stable. The guilt becomes its own cycle, reinforcing the idea that spending, especially on ourselves, is somehow wrong or wasteful. But not all guilt comes from overspending. For many people, it's the lack of savings that weighs heaviest. The knowledge that they could be putting away more for the future, that they could have started investing sooner, that their debt is growing instead of shrinking. This awareness can be deeply unsettling. Guilt can transform into shame, a more personal and pervasive emotion. Unlike guilt, which focuses on specific actions, I shouldn't have bought that. Shame feels like a judgment on who we are. I'm bad with money. It's a heavier burden to carry and can prevent people from seeking help. If someone feels ashamed of their financial situation, they might avoid discussing it with family, friends, or professionals. They might stop opening bills or checking bank statements. This avoidance only deepens the problem, making it harder to climb out of debt or build healthy financial habits. Shame becomes a barrier not just to financial improvement, but to emotional well-being. Stress, too, is a constant companion for many when it comes to money. It's no surprise that financial concerns rank among the top causes of anxiety in people's lives. Whether it's the pressure of mounting bills, the unpredictability of income, or the uncertainty of future needs, financial stress can feel overwhelming. It keeps us awake at night, fuels arguments in relationships, and affects our physical health. Chronic stress can lead to a range of negative outcomes, from diminished focus at work to more serious mental health challenges. It can also cloud judgment, leading to hasty financial decisions that compound the stress rather than alleviating it. A person under financial pressure might, for instance, take out a high-interest loan just to cover immediate expenses, only to find themselves in a deeper hole a few months later. The stress-driven decision might feel like a quick fix, but it often creates longer-term challenges. And yet, money is not solely a source of negative emotions. It's also a means of creating joy, connection, and fulfillment. Consider the happiness of buying a thoughtful gift for a loved one, the satisfaction of finally affording a long-dreamed-of experience, or the simple pleasure of treating oneself to something special. These moments remind us that money is not just about survival, it's about enriching life. The thrill of making a purchase, especially one we've anticipated or worked hard for, is real and valid. However, this same emotional reward can lead to impulsivity. Retail therapy, while it may provide temporary relief, can become a habit. The short-lived happiness of a spontaneous purchase can mask underlying stress or dissatisfaction. Over time, impulsive spending can strain finances, turning what once felt like a positive act into a source of regret. It's a delicate balance, using money to create happiness without letting the pursuit of happiness destabilize our financial foundation. What ties all these emotions together? Fear, greed, guilt, shame, stress, joy, is the meaning we assign to money. It's never just about the dollars or the figures on a statement. Money represents so much more: security, freedom, power, success, even love and self-worth. These associations run deep. From an early age, we absorb messages about money from our families, communities, and cultures. Some of us grow up learning that money must be carefully guarded, saved, and protected. Others are taught that it's a tool for enjoying life, for taking risks, and for embracing opportunities. These early lessons, often unspoken, form our money scripts, subconscious narratives that shape how we think about, use, and feel about money throughout our lives. Understanding these scripts and the emotions they inspire is the first step toward making more thoughtful financial decisions. When we feel that pang of guilt after spending, we can pause and ask ourselves why. Is it because the purchase truly jeopardizes our financial goals? Or because we've internalized the belief that spending on ourselves is somehow wrong? When we feel fear during a market downturn, we can remind ourselves that the market is cyclical and that our long-term strategy remains sound. When we feel drawn to a quick financial gain, we can consider whether it aligns with our broader goals or if it's just a momentary impulse. By acknowledging these emotional drivers, we gain the power to navigate them. Money will always stir our hearts as well as our minds. The goal isn't to eliminate emotions from our financial decisions, it's to understand and manage them. With greater awareness, we can move toward a healthier, more balanced relationship with money, one that respects both the numbers on the page and the feelings in our hearts. In doing so, we not only improve our financial health, but also create a life that reflects our deepest values and priorities. Behavioral patterns: saving, spending, and investing. When it comes to how we handle money, how we save it, spend it, and invest it, our decisions often seem like they should be straightforward. After all, isn't saving just a matter of setting aside a portion of income? Isn't spending simply a calculation of what we can afford? And isn't investing about finding a strategy and sticking with it? In theory, yes. But in practice, our financial behaviors are far from purely logical. Beneath every seemingly straightforward decision lies a complex web of habits, emotions, and personal beliefs formed over years, even decades. These patterns influence everything from how we budget for groceries to how we react to stock market fluctuations. Understanding the roots of these behavioral patterns can help us not only manage our money more effectively, but also better align our financial choices with our long-term goals and values. Consider saving. Some people seem naturally inclined to save, setting aside a portion of every paycheck without giving it much thought. For them, watching a savings account grow is deeply satisfying, proof that they are prepared for the unexpected, ready for future opportunities, and in control of their financial lives. But for others, saving can feel like an uphill battle. Even when they intend to save, life's daily demands and temptations get in the way. A sudden car repair or a tempting sale on electronics can derail the best laid plans. This isn't always about a lack of discipline. Often, it's about deeply ingrained habits and mental frameworks. These saving patterns often start in childhood. Imagine two families. In the first, parents emphasize the importance of putting money aside, sharing stories about how their own savings helped them through tough times or enabled them to achieve their dreams. They encourage their children to save birthday money, rewarding them for hitting small savings milestones. Over time, this instills a belief that saving is not only possible, but necessary, a cornerstone of a stable and secure life. In the second family, money is always tight, and saving feels like a luxury they can't afford. While the children may grow up understanding the value of hard work, they also learn that money should be spent as soon as it's earned, because the chance to enjoy it might not come again. These early experiences don't just shape how people think about saving, they shape how people feel about saving. For some, it becomes a source of pride and comfort. For others, it's a constant reminder of what they lack or what they might lose. Even among habitual savers, challenges can emerge over time. One common obstacle is lifestyle creep, the tendency for expenses to rise as income increases. At the start of a career, a young professional might live in a modest apartment, drive a reliable used car, and keep entertainment costs low. As their salary grows, however, they may feel entitled to upgrade, a larger home, a newer car, more frequent dining out. These incremental increases don't feel extravagant in the moment, but over time, they can consume the additional income that could have gone into savings or investments. The problem isn't necessarily that people splurge irresponsibly. It's that these changes happen gradually, often without conscious decision making. Overcoming lifestyle creep requires a deliberate effort to maintain or even reduce fixed expenses as income rises, ensuring that the extra earnings truly build wealth rather than disappear into higher monthly bills. Spending behavior, too, is shaped by more than just logic. While it's easy to think of spending as a straightforward exchange, money for goods or services, the reality is that spending often carries an emotional component. For many, spending is tied to feelings of reward, accomplishment, or self-worth. Consider the phenomenon of retail therapy. After a particularly difficult week, the simple act of buying something, whether it's a new outfit, a piece of tech, or a night out at a fancy restaurant, can provide a burst of joy and relief. This isn't inherently bad. Spending can bring genuine happiness and satisfaction, especially when it's directed toward experiences or items that hold real personal value. The danger arises when spending becomes impulsive or habitual, driven not by thoughtful decisions, but by a desire to escape stress or emulate others. Cultural and social influences also play a significant role in shaping spending habits. In some cultures, spending freely is seen as a sign of success and generosity. Buying gifts, throwing large celebrations, and living a visibly affluent lifestyle can confer status and respect. In other cultures, frugality is prized. People might see spending beyond one's means as wasteful or irresponsible, and they may celebrate those who live simply, even if they have considerable wealth. These cultural norms affect not only how we spend, but how we feel about spending. Someone who grew up in a culture that values saving might experience guilt after making a large purchase, while someone from a culture that celebrates spending might feel pressure to spend more, even if they can't comfortably afford it. Investing, meanwhile, often represents a psychological shift from the known to the unknown. Unlike saving, which is typically associated with safety and stability, investing requires us to embrace risk. For some, this is a natural transition. They view investing as a logical next step, a way to make their money grow over time. They might see market downturns as opportunities, buying more when prices are low, and trusting that long-term trends will work in their favor. This mindset often reflects a high tolerance for uncertainty and a focus on future gains rather than immediate security. For others, investing feels intimidating. The fear of losing money can be overwhelming, especially if they've seen family members or friends experience financial setbacks. Even if the data shows that long-term investing is generally a sound strategy, the emotional weight of a potential loss often outweighs the promise of future gains. This can lead to avoiding investing altogether or staying in overly conservative options that don't keep pace with inflation. The challenge isn't a lack of understanding, it's a deeply held belief that investing is too risky or too unpredictable. Overcoming this belief requires not only education about investing, but also a shift in mindset, learning to view market fluctuations as normal rather than catastrophic, and focusing on long-term growth rather than short-term volatility. Debt further complicates the landscape of financial behavior. For many, debt is an unavoidable part of life. A mortgage to buy a home, student loans to finance an education, or credit cards to cover emergencies. While some people manage debt effectively, treating it as a tool to be used strategically, others find themselves caught in a cycle of borrowing and repayment that feels impossible to break. The emotional impact of debt can be profound. Carrying a large balance often leads to feelings of shame, guilt, and anxiety. People may avoid opening credit card statements, skip payments, or simply ignore the problem, hoping it will go away. This avoidance, however, only deepens the financial hole and increases the emotional strain. Breaking free from the cycle of debt requires more than just a financial plan. It involves addressing the underlying habits and emotions that led to the debt in the first place. Was the borrowing driven by a genuine need, or was it a way to cope with stress, keep up appearances, or satisfy immediate desires? Recognizing these patterns helps people develop healthier financial behaviors, such as setting realistic budgets, prioritizing high-interest debt, and building an emergency fund to avoid future reliance on credit. Over time, these changes can transform not only a person's financial situation, but also their sense of control and well-being. Ultimately, saving, spending, and investing are not just about numbers. They are about habits, beliefs, and emotions. Our financial behaviors are influenced by countless factors: family traditions, cultural expectations, personal experiences, and the psychological shortcuts we use to make decisions. By examining these patterns, we gain insight into why we do what we do with our money. More importantly, we learn how to change. We can replace impulsive spending with intentional choices, replace anxiety about investing with confidence in a long-term plan, and replace avoidance of debt with proactive strategies for repayment. In doing so, we move closer to a more balanced, intentional, and fulfilling relationship with money, one that allows us to achieve our goals while staying true to our values. Social and interpersonal dynamics. Money is rarely just a private matter. While we might consider our personal finances something we manage in solitude, budgeting alone, making purchases by ourselves, or checking investment accounts in private, the reality is that money is deeply embedded in our social lives. It influences how we relate to others, how we measure ourselves against peers, how we navigate romantic relationships, and how we contribute to or depend upon family. The ways money shapes these interactions are subtle, yet profound, often creating dynamics we don't fully recognize until they cause tension or conflict. By exploring the social and interpersonal side of money, we can better understand not just our finances, but also the relationships that depend on them. One of the most powerful social forces tied to money is comparison. From the moment we start earning an income, we can't help but notice how we stack up against others. A co-worker's new car, a friend's designer handbag, a neighbor's renovated kitchen, all of these become points of reference that shape how we feel about our own financial situation. In a world where social media broadcasts the highlights of people's lives, the tendency to compare becomes even more pronounced. We see curated images of vacations, luxury goods, and major milestones, and it's easy to conclude that everyone else is doing better than we are. This comparison, while often based on incomplete information, can drive us to spend beyond our means in an effort to keep up. The pressure to match the lifestyles we see around us, or at least not fall behind, becomes a silent yet powerful force that shapes our financial decisions. The phenomenon of keeping up with the Joneses is not a new one, but its impact is amplified by modern technology. In the past, we might have compared ourselves primarily to close friends, family, and neighbors, people we saw regularly and whose financial situations were somewhat similar to our own. Today, we're exposed to a much wider pool of comparisons, from influencers showcasing luxury lifestyles to distant acquaintances posting about their latest adventures. This exposure can create unrealistic standards, making us feel inadequate even if we're financially stable. The result is often increased spending on items or experiences that we might not have valued otherwise, simply because they've become symbols of success or belonging. Social comparison also affects our savings and investment habits. If we know that a friend is aggressively saving for early retirement or investing in high-risk, high-reward ventures, we may feel compelled to do the same, even if it doesn't align with our own goals or risk tolerance. On the flip side, if most of our social circle spends freely and seems unconcerned about the future, we might find it harder to stick to a disciplined savings plan. The people around us create a financial environment that influences our behavior, whether we realize it or not. Recognizing these social pressures can help us make more deliberate choices, ensuring that our financial decisions are guided by our own priorities rather than the expectations of others. Beyond comparison, money also plays a significant role in how we perceive and convey status and power. Wealth often functions as a social marker, signaling success, authority, or even moral virtue. People who are seen as financially successful may be treated with greater respect, given more credibility, or assumed to be more competent. This dynamic can shape how we present ourselves and how we interact with others. Some might feel pressure to project an image of affluence, even if it means living beyond their means. Others might downplay their wealth to avoid standing out or to fit in with a particular group. These choices are not just about money, they're about how we want to be seen and how we believe others will respond to us. The relationship between money and status is particularly evident in career choices and professional environments. For example, someone might pursue a high-paying job they don't enjoy because it allows them to maintain a certain lifestyle or social standing. Conversely, someone who values status differently might choose a lower-paying role that offers more personal satisfaction, prioritizing quality of life over material wealth. These decisions are deeply personal, but they're also influenced by societal messages about what it means to be successful. By understanding how status-driven thinking affects our financial and career choices, we can begin to make decisions that are more in line with our true values, rather than external pressures. Family is another arena where money's social influence becomes clear. In many families, financial expectations are passed down from one generation to the next, shaping how individuals approach earning, saving, and spending. These early lessons often have a lasting impact. For example, parents who are diligent savers might instill a sense of frugality and caution in their children, while parents who spent freely might pass on a more relaxed attitude toward money. Over time, these inherited financial habits can create harmony or tension within families. Money can also become a source of conflict between generations. In some families, older generations may expect younger members to take on certain financial responsibilities, such as supporting elderly relatives or contributing to communal expenses. These expectations can lead to feelings of obligation or resentment, especially if the younger generation feels unable to meet them. Conversely, younger family members might feel entitled to financial help from their elders, leading to tension if that support is not forthcoming. Open communication about financial roles and expectations is essential for maintaining healthy family relationships. Without it, unspoken assumptions and mismatched priorities can strain even the closest bonds. Romantic relationships, too, are deeply influenced by money. Financial compatibility, or the lack thereof, is one of the most common sources of conflict between partners. Differing attitudes towards saving, spending, and investing can create tension, as can differences in income levels or financial goals. For example, one partner might prioritize saving for a home, while the other values traveling and experiences. If these priorities aren't aligned, the relationship can become strained. What's more, discussions about money often bring up feelings of vulnerability, shame, or guilt, making it difficult for couples to communicate openly. Building trust and transparency around finances is crucial for long-term stability. When both partners can discuss money without judgment or defensiveness, they're more likely to find common ground and work toward shared goals. Ultimately, the social dynamics of money are impossible to escape, whether it's the influence of friends, the expectations of family, or the dynamics of a romantic partnership. Our financial choices are shaped by the people around us and the social environments we inhabit. By recognizing these influences, we can take a step back and reflect on what truly matters to us. Instead of following social pressures or internalized expectations, we can make decisions that reflect our own values and priorities. This self-awareness not only improves our financial well-being, but also strengthens our relationships, allowing us to navigate the complexities of money and society with greater clarity and confidence. Marketing, consumerism, and manipulation. In the modern world, we are surrounded by a constant barrage of messages urging us to spend. Whether we're scrolling through our social media feeds, driving past a digital billboard, or watching a YouTube video, advertising is omnipresent. Each ad, promotional email, or branded post is not a random occurrence. It's the product of meticulous strategy and research designed to influence how we feel, think, and act. Marketers have honed their craft to near perfection, employing an arsenal of psychological tactics to nudge us toward making purchases, often without us even realizing it. Understanding these tactics and how they intertwine with our emotions, biases, and social instincts can help us regain control over our financial choices, rather than simply following the subtle cues that surround us. At the heart of much of modern advertising is the concept of aspiration. Today's marketing often sells more than just a product. It sells a lifestyle, a vision of who you could become if you make that purchase. Consider a high-end watch commercial. The advertisement might show an elegantly dressed individual stepping out of a luxury car, confidently checking the time before entering an exclusive event. The watch isn't just being marketed as a way to tell time, it's being positioned as a symbol of sophistication, success, and exclusivity. Even relatively mundane items like running shoes or bottled water are often linked to aspirational messages. Wear these shoes and you'll be healthier. Drink this water and you'll be more youthful or refreshed. Over time, this kind of messaging conditions us to associate certain brands and products with qualities we desire. Prestige, vitality, adventure, making us more likely to choose them when the time comes to buy. Closely tied to aspiration is the use of emotional storytelling. Rather than simply listing a product's features, many advertisements now tell compelling narratives. A commercial for a family car, for instance, might show parents surprising their children with a weekend road trip. Over the course of the ad, the family laughs, bonds, and creates lasting memories, all made possible, the ad suggests, by choosing this particular vehicle. This emotional connection makes the brand memorable. It's no longer just a car, it's a means of creating meaningful experiences. Similarly, ads for financial services might feature a young couple opening their first bank account together, accompanied by uplifting music and heartfelt dialogue, making the mundane act of banking feel like a key step toward achieving their dreams. These narratives linger in our minds and often guide our decisions long after we've forgotten the specifics of the ad. Even when we're not consciously thinking about the story, the positive emotions it evoked can influence which brand we trust or which product we reach for on the shelf. Another deeply effective technique is scarcity marketing. When we hear phrases like limited time offer or only a few items left, a sense of urgency takes hold. Scarcity creates the impression that if we don't act quickly, we'll miss out on a valuable opportunity. This taps into a fundamental human fear of losing something, even if we didn't need or want it to begin with. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is a powerful motivator, and marketers know this well. Whether it's a flash sale on a popular website or a countdown clock on a travel booking site, these tactics are designed to push us into making immediate decisions, bypassing our usual deliberative process. Even if the limited supply is artificial, or the deadline is extended again and again, the perception of scarcity is enough to drive action. Over time, consumers begin to associate speed with value. If everyone else is rushing to grab the deal, it must be worth it, further reinforcing the cycle. In a similar vein, social proof plays a significant role in shaping our spending habits. People are social creatures, and we tend to look to others when deciding what to buy. Positive reviews, testimonials, and high ratings are not just helpful, they're persuasive. When we see that 95% of customers recommend this product, or that a particular restaurant has thousands of five-star reviews, we feel reassured that we're making a safe choice. This is amplified by influencer marketing, where social media personalities showcase products in ways that feel authentic and relatable. Instead of a polished commercial, we see someone we admire casually using a product in their daily life. These endorsements carry weight because they come from individuals we trust or aspire to emulate. Even though we know they're being paid for the partnership, the association between the influencer and the product still shapes our perception of its quality and desirability. Marketers also take advantage of cognitive biases like anchoring. Imagine you walk into a store and see a jacket originally priced at $200 marked down to $150. Even if you weren't planning to spend that much on a jacket, the initial $200 price tag sets a psychological anchor, making $150 seem like a bargain. This technique isn't limited to clothing. In subscription services, for example, companies might list their monthly rate alongside a discounted annual rate, nudging you to commit to a longer plan because it feels like a better deal. The original, higher price point makes the discounted offer feel more attractive, even if the long-term cost isn't necessarily what you had in mind. By understanding how anchoring influences us, we can pause and ask ourselves whether the deal is truly beneficial or just a clever manipulation of perception. Free trials and money-back guarantees play on another cognitive bias known as the endowment effect. Once we've tried a product or service, we begin to feel a sense of ownership over it. For example, streaming platforms often offer a month-long free trial, allowing you to explore their library at no cost. By the time the trial ends, you've already built habits around using the service, binge-watching shows, creating playlists, and becoming familiar with the platform's interface. Losing access feels like losing something valuable, making it more likely that you'll pay to continue the subscription. This subtle shift from trying out to owning creates an emotional attachment that makes us more inclined to spend money to maintain what we've come to enjoy. Modern marketing also delves into the science of neuromarketing, using brain scans and biometric data to understand how different messages, colors, sounds, and images affect our decision making. By identifying what kinds of stimuli elicit positive emotional responses, marketers can fine-tune their campaigns to be even more compelling. For instance, certain colors might make a product appear more trustworthy, while particular soundtracks might evoke feelings of nostalgia or excitement. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, advertisers want to present their products in the best light. But it does highlight just how sophisticated these strategies have become. Marketers are not only appealing to our conscious preferences, but also subtly influencing our subconscious responses. Recognizing these tactics can help us approach ads with a more critical eye, questioning whether our desire for a product is rooted in genuine need or in the carefully crafted emotions the ad has triggered. Over time, these individual tactics combine to create broader patterns of consumerism. The constant exposure to new products, exclusive offers, and aspirational messaging drives us to view spending not as a necessary exchange, but as a source of personal fulfillment and identity. Instead of buying only what we need, we buy what we've been conditioned to want. This cycle of desire and purchase can lead to financial strain, as we spend beyond our means to keep up with trends or maintain a certain image. It also has environmental consequences, as increased demand for goods leads to more production, resource consumption, and waste. Recognizing this larger cycle doesn't mean we have to reject consumer culture entirely, but it does encourage us to pause and consider our role in it. Are we buying something because we truly value it, or because we've been nudged by marketing strategies designed to make us want it? Understanding these dynamics empowers us as consumers. When we can identify the techniques marketers use, whether it's scarcity marketing, social proof, emotional storytelling, or anchoring, we can make more informed decisions. Instead of impulsively reacting to a limited time offer or a persuasive ad, we can take a moment to reflect. Does this purchase align with my values and goals? Is it something I truly need, or is it something I've been led to desire? By slowing down, we regain control over our financial decisions, ensuring that we spend intentionally rather than reflexively. Marketing and consumerism aren't inherently bad. They're part of how we share ideas, communicate value, and promote innovation. But by understanding the strategies behind them, we can approach the marketplace with greater awareness. We can enjoy the products and experiences that genuinely enhance our lives while resisting the pressures that lead us to overspend or buy things we don't truly need. In doing so, we not only protect our wallets, but also build a healthier, more thoughtful relationship with money. One where our choices are guided by our own values, rather than by the sophisticated scripts of advertising campaigns. Money and identity. When we think about money, we often imagine it as a neutral tool, a medium for trade, a store of value, a means to an end. Yet, in practice, money is anything but neutral. Over time, it weaves itself into the fabric of who we are. Our relationship with money becomes intertwined with our self-worth, our aspirations, our place in society, and even our sense of morality. Money doesn't just reflect what we can buy, it mirrors how we see ourselves and how we want to be seen by others. In this way, money becomes not just a financial asset, but a core element of our identity. One of the most significant ways money shapes our sense of self is through its connection to status. For many, income level and net worth are markers of success. High earnings or visible wealth often come to symbolize achievement, intelligence, and hard work, while financial struggles can feel like personal failings. This dynamic isn't always fair or accurate. Plenty of talented, diligent people experience financial hardship, but the association between wealth and merit runs deep. It's reinforced by societal messages, cultural norms, and even our own internalized beliefs. As a result, many of us come to equate financial success with self-worth, and we measure our progress in life by the size of our bank accounts or the material possessions we can afford. This connection between money and identity is particularly evident during times of financial change. Consider someone who loses a high-paying job after years of steady advancement. Even if they have savings or a safety net, the emotional impact can be profound. Suddenly, their income no longer aligns with the image they had of themselves. The loss of status, real or perceived, can feel like a personal blow, leading to a sense of shame or inadequacy. Conversely, a significant financial windfall, such as a promotion, a lucrative investment, or an inheritance, can have the opposite effect. It can bolster confidence, affirm one's abilities, and even shift one's social standing. In both cases, the money itself isn't just a practical resource. It's a symbol of who we believe we are and where we fit in the world. But money's influence on identity goes beyond status and self-perception. It also shapes how we interact with others and how we define our values. For example, people who prioritize wealth accumulation might see themselves as ambitious, driven, and disciplined. Their identity becomes tied to financial growth, and they may take pride in their ability to earn, save, and invest. On the other hand, those who view money primarily as a tool for giving or for creating meaningful experiences might define themselves as generous, compassionate, or adventurous. In both cases, the way money is used reinforces a particular narrative about who the individual is. Over time, these narratives become part of their core identity, influencing not only their financial decisions, but also their broader sense of purpose and character. These identity narratives often begin early in life. Family attitudes toward money, whether it was a source of stress, a mark of success, or a means of creating joy, shape how we see ourselves in relation to wealth. A child who grows up in a household where money is always scarce may internalize a sense of insecurity, leading them to identify as someone who must work twice as hard to achieve stability. Alternatively, a child raised in an environment of abundance might come to see themselves as someone who is entitled to financial success, or who should always strive for more. These early experiences create money scripts, subconscious beliefs that influence our financial behavior and self-image throughout adulthood. Identifying and understanding these scripts is crucial if we want to untangle our identity from the financial patterns we inherited and instead make choices that reflect our true values. Money also plays a role in how we align our external image with our internal sense of self. This alignment, or lack thereof, can be seen in the tension between public perception and private reality. Someone might present an image of wealth and success, buying expensive clothing or driving a luxury car, even if their finances are strained. This performance of affluence becomes part of their identity, a way of signaling to others that they've made it. However, maintaining this facade can create emotional and financial strain as the gap between the image they project and their actual situation widens. On the other hand, those who choose to downplay their wealth or live below their means may see themselves as humble, grounded, or principled. Their financial choices reinforce a different kind of identity, one that values simplicity over status. Beyond individual identity, money also shapes how we relate to our communities and the world around us. Many people define themselves through their financial contributions to causes they care about. Philanthropy, volunteering, and charitable giving often reflect deeply held values. For someone who prioritizes social justice, using money to support nonprofit organizations or to fund community programs becomes a way of expressing who they are and what they stand for. This alignment between money and values strengthens their sense of identity as they see themselves not just as someone who earns and spends, but as someone who makes a positive impact. Conversely, someone who feels their financial decisions don't align with their values, such as working for a company they believe is unethical, may experience an identity conflict. They might struggle to reconcile their financial choices with their sense of self, leading to feelings of discomfort or dissatisfaction. Over time, our relationship with money evolves, and so does its role in shaping our identity. As young adults, we might view financial success as a measure of independence or a sign that we're on the right track. In middle age, we may begin to think about how our financial decisions reflect our values, our legacy, and what we want to leave behind. Later in life, money often becomes more about security and the ability to enjoy the fruits of our labor. At each stage, the way we use money and the meaning we attach to it shifts, revealing new aspects of who we are. Ultimately, money and identity are inseparable. How we earn, spend, save, and give not only shapes our financial well-being, but also defines how we see ourselves and how we navigate the world. By examining the role money plays in our identity, we gain a clearer understanding of our motivations, our values, and the narratives we tell ourselves. This awareness allows us to make more intentional choices, choices that align not only with our financial goals, but also with the person we aspire to be. Money mindset shifts. When we think about money, it often feels fixed, both in its nature and in the way we approach it. We see our financial habits as set patterns, our attitudes as unchangeable truths, and our overall relationship with money as a reflection of unyielding circumstances. But money is far from a static force. Over time, our mindset, the underlying attitudes and beliefs that shape how we earn, spend, and save, can shift, often dramatically. By exploring how our money mindset evolves and how deliberate changes can lead to healthier financial outcomes, we can begin to understand that our financial lives are not defined by where we are today, but by the direction in which we're willing to grow. One of the most profound shifts involves moving from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. A scarcity mindset is rooted in the belief that resources, particularly money, are limited. People who view money through this lens often feel that no matter how much they earn, it's never enough. They may fixate on what they lack, worry incessantly about future expenses, or hoard their savings out of fear. While caution and planning are not inherently negative, a scarcity mindset can create unnecessary stress and inhibit financial growth. It encourages an inward focus, making people hesitant to take risks, invest, or even spend on things that could improve their quality of life. Over time, this mentality can lead to missed opportunities, as the fear of running out overshadows the potential for building more. In contrast, an abundance mindset shifts the focus toward possibility and growth. Those who adopt this perspective recognize that money is not a finite resource, but something that can be created, nurtured, and multiplied. They view challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to learn, adapt, and find new solutions. With an abundance mindset, financial decisions become less about fear and more about strategy. This doesn't mean throwing caution to the wind or ignoring financial realities. Instead, it means approaching money with confidence and optimism, believing that with the right approach, more is always possible. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight. It often begins with small, deliberate steps. For example, instead of focusing solely on cutting expenses, someone with an abundance mindset might explore ways to increase their income, seeking a raise, pursuing additional qualifications, or starting a side business. They might choose to invest in themselves, taking courses, or attending workshops that improve their skills and marketability. Rather than seeing these expenditures as losses, they view them as investments in future earning potential. This change in perspective helps foster a sense of control and agency, turning financial growth into an active process rather than a passive hope. Another key mindset shift involves redefining what financial success looks like. In traditional terms, success is often measured by visible wealth, large homes, expensive cars, designer clothing, and extravagant vacations. These markers, while appealing, are not the only, or even the best, indicators of a healthy financial mindset. Many people who appear wealthy are actually living paycheck to paycheck, burdened by debt and the pressure to maintain appearances. True financial success, as a mindset, focuses less on external validation and more on internal peace of mind. It's about having the resources to meet your needs, the ability to handle unexpected expenses, and the freedom to make choices that align with your values and goals. For some, this means embracing a minimalist or essentialist approach. Instead of chasing endless material possessions, they prioritize quality over quantity, choosing a few meaningful investments rather than a constant stream of short-lived purchases. This doesn't mean living without comforts or denying yourself pleasures. It means being intentional about what you buy and why. A minimalist mindset often leads to more thoughtful spending, reduced financial stress, and a greater appreciation for what truly matters. It's not about deprivation, it's about clarity, understanding what you need, what you value, and what genuinely enhances your life. Similarly, some people find that giving, whether through charity, philanthropy, or supporting loved ones, shifts their perspective on wealth and abundance. Paradoxically, giving money away often reinforces a sense of financial stability. Those who give regularly often feel wealthier, not poorer, because the act of generosity strengthens their belief in abundance. They see their resources as plentiful enough to share, which reinforces the idea that there will always be enough. This mindset doesn't just benefit recipients, it also helps givers cultivate a deeper connection to their communities, their values, and their own sense of purpose. Another important mindset shift involves reframing how we think about financial challenges. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, people with a growth-oriented mindset view them as learning opportunities. If an investment doesn't pan out, they analyze what went wrong, adjust their strategy, and move forward with new insight. If an unexpected expense derails their budget, they use it as a chance to reassess and strengthen their emergency fund. This resilience, the ability to adapt and grow after a financial misstep, often comes from believing that improvement is always possible. It's the mindset that says, I may not have made the best decision last time, but I can make a better one next time. Over time, this approach leads to more informed choices, greater confidence, and a more stable financial future. Developing a healthier money mindset also involves challenging the deeply ingrained beliefs we carry about wealth and success. Many of us grew up hearing statements like, money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard for every penny. While these sayings were often meant to encourage responsibility, they can also instill a belief that earning money must always be difficult, or that wealth is inherently out of reach. Shifting to a more empowering mindset involves recognizing that while effort and discipline are important, wealth isn't exclusively about struggle. It's also about strategy, creativity, and finding ways to align your skills and passions with opportunities that generate income. This doesn't mean ignoring hard work. It means pairing effort with a more expansive view of what's possible. Of course, making these shifts isn't always easy. It requires introspection, patience, and often a willingness to let go of old habits and thought patterns. But the rewards are profound. By cultivating a more abundant, purposeful, and resilient money mindset, people find that financial decisions become less stressful and more fulfilling. They feel more confident in their ability to navigate challenges, more at peace with their financial choices, and more connected to the life they truly want to lead. In the end, shifting your money mindset isn't just about improving your bank balance. It's about creating a healthier, more balanced relationship with money, one that supports your well-being, reflects your values, and empowers you to build the life you desire. These changes may take time, but with consistent effort and self-awareness, they can transform not only your financial situation, but also your overall sense of purpose, freedom, and fulfillment. Money management and practical tools. Managing money is one of the most essential life skills, yet it's something many people approach without a clear plan or strategy. For a long time, financial management was often viewed as a set of strict, sometimes overwhelming rules. Keep meticulous records, never use credit, save every penny. But in reality, managing money effectively is more about understanding how to make financial systems work for your unique situation. It's not about following someone else's blueprint. It's about building your own framework, finding the tools that resonate with you, and creating a sustainable approach to handling income, expenses, savings, and investments. With the right mindset, habits, and tools, money management becomes less of a burden and more of a powerful way to align your financial behavior with your goals and values. At the core of any strong money management system is a budget. While budget can sometimes feel like a restrictive word, one that conjures images of spreadsheets and financial deprivation, the reality is that a budget is simply a tool to help you stay in control of your money. It's not about telling yourself no at every turn. It's about having a clear picture of where your money is going and making sure it's going to the places that matter most. Think of a budget as a roadmap. Without it, it's easy to wander aimlessly, spending on things that seem important in the moment, but don't contribute to your long-term well-being. With it, you know exactly how much you can allocate to different areas of your life: housing, groceries, savings, fun, and you're less likely to end up stressed over unexpected expenses or shortfalls. There are countless budgeting methods to choose from, and the key is finding one that feels natural to you. For instance, some people thrive on the traditional envelope system, where cash is divided into physical envelopes labeled for each category of spending. Once an envelope is empty, that's it. You stop spending in that category until the next pay cycle. While the envelope system might feel outdated in today's digital world, its core principle, assigning a specific purpose to every dollar, remains incredibly effective. Other people prefer percentage-based methods, like the 50-30-20 rule. Allocate 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. This approach offers a simple structure, helping you balance essentials, discretionary spending, and future-focused goals. Then there are zero-based budgets, where every dollar is accounted for ahead of time, ensuring that your income minus expenses always equals zero. Each of these methods has its strengths, and experimenting with different approaches can help you find the one that fits your lifestyle. Automation can be another powerful tool for improving money management. By automating key financial tasks, like transferring a portion of your paycheck to a savings account, paying monthly bills, or contributing to retirement accounts. You remove the friction of having to remember and manually handle each transaction. Automation helps you build habits without relying on willpower. Once you've set up automatic transfers or payments, you're less likely to miss a due date or forget to save. Over time, these automated processes create a stable financial foundation, making it easier to stay on track even when life gets busy or stressful. Beyond budgeting and automation, financial goal setting plays a critical role in effective money management. Clear, meaningful goals give you a reason to stick to your plan and make daily financial decisions easier. If you're saving for a house down payment, paying off student loans, or building an emergency fund, every financial choice becomes more focused. Rather than feeling like you're simply cutting back for the sake of cutting back, you're making intentional decisions that bring you closer to what matters most. Goals help transform abstract financial tasks into tangible progress. They give purpose to your savings, make spending cuts feel worthwhile, and keep you motivated through the ups and downs of managing money. Visualization can be a helpful strategy here. Envisioning your future self in a paid-off home or picturing the freedom that comes from living debt-free creates a mental image that guides your daily decisions. Tools like vision boards, where you pin pictures and notes representing your financial goals, can serve as constant reminders of why you're making certain choices. Even something as simple as writing down your goals and reviewing them regularly can reinforce your commitment. This doesn't mean you have to obsess over your finances every day, just that keeping your goals visible and top of mind can help you maintain a steady course. In today's digital age, financial apps and technology-driven tools offer even more ways to take control of your money. Budgeting apps, for example, allow you to track your expenses, set spending limits, and receive notifications when you're nearing those limits. Many apps automatically categorize your purchases, giving you a clear picture of where your money is going without the need for manual record keeping. Other tools, like robo-advisors, help simplify investing by automatically rebalancing your portfolio and suggesting investment strategies based on your risk tolerance and goals. Online banking platforms and digital wallets make it easier than ever to transfer funds, split bills, and monitor your accounts in real time. By integrating these technologies into your money management routine, you gain greater transparency, convenience, and insight. While these tools are immensely helpful, they work best when paired with consistent habits and regular check-ins. Scheduling a money date with yourself once a month, where you review your budget, track progress on your goals, and make adjustments as needed, can keep you connected to your finances. During this time, you might look at where you overspent, identify areas where you can save, and celebrate any small wins. These check-ins ensure that your money management system remains dynamic and responsive to changes in your income, expenses, or priorities. They also help you stay accountable, reminding you that managing money is an ongoing process rather than a one-time setup. Finally, it's important to acknowledge that effective money management is as much about mindset as it is about tools and techniques. Developing a healthy relationship with money means letting go of perfectionism and understanding that financial progress often happens in small steps. It means being patient with yourself when you encounter setbacks and recognizing that every improvement, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction. By focusing on steady, incremental changes, rather than dramatic overhauls, you build sustainable habits that will serve you for years to come. In the end, money management isn't about achieving a perfect balance or following a rigid set of rules. It's about creating a system that works for you, adapting it as your life evolves, and using the right tools and habits to stay aligned with your goals. With a thoughtful approach, managing money becomes less of a chore and more of a powerful way to shape your future, reduce stress, and create a life that reflects your deepest values and priorities. Wealth, success, and happiness. What is the relationship between wealth and happiness? It's a question that philosophers, economists, and psychologists have grappled with for centuries. On the surface, it might seem like more money should mean more happiness. With greater wealth, we can enjoy life's luxuries, pursue our passions without financial constraints, and shield ourselves from many of the struggles that come with economic insecurity. And to a certain extent, studies do show a correlation between income and happiness, up to a point. For those living paycheck to paycheck or dealing with significant financial stress, an increase in income can indeed improve overall well-being. But as wealth grows beyond a certain threshold, the connection between money and happiness becomes less clear. In fact, for many, the relentless pursuit of more wealth can lead to diminished satisfaction, increased pressure, and even a sense of emptiness. To understand why, we need to delve deeper into how wealth intersects with our perceptions of success and our ability to find lasting fulfillment. One reason wealth doesn't always bring the happiness we expect is that our understanding of success often becomes entangled with the concept of more. We live in a culture that tends to equate financial achievement with personal worth. From an early age, we're encouraged to set ambitious financial goals, earning higher salaries, accumulating savings, and acquiring valuable assets. These markers of success can be motivating, but they can also lead to a never-ending chase. Once we achieve a certain income level or material milestone, it can feel natural to set the bar higher. A $75,000 salary turns into a goal of $100,000, which then shifts to $150,000, and so on. While these incremental achievements can be satisfying in the short term, they often fail to bring lasting happiness because the finish line keeps moving. This phenomenon, known as the hedonic treadmill, leaves many people feeling as though they're running hard, but never truly arriving at a place of contentment. At the same time, the pursuit of wealth can come with significant trade-offs. Building a successful career often requires long hours, significant stress, and sacrifices in other areas of life. It might mean missing family milestones, neglecting personal relationships, or putting hobbies and interests on hold. Over time, these sacrifices can take a toll. People who focus solely on financial success may find themselves feeling isolated, disconnected, or unfulfilled. They may look around one day and realize that the wealth they've built hasn't brought them closer to the things that truly matter, like strong relationships, good health, or a sense of purpose. This disconnect is one reason why wealth alone is rarely enough to create lasting happiness. Another factor is that as wealth increases, so do expectations. The comforts that once felt luxurious can quickly become baseline necessities. For example, someone who once dreamed of owning a small home may find that after a few years, that home no longer feels special. Instead, they begin to desire a larger property in a more prestigious neighborhood with more amenities. This escalation of desires is a natural human tendency, but it can lead to a sense of dissatisfaction as each new level of achievement becomes the new normal. Wealth can also introduce new pressures, such as managing investments, maintaining properties, or dealing with requests for financial support from friends and family. These pressures can detract from the enjoyment that wealth might otherwise bring. However, this doesn't mean that wealth and happiness are fundamentally incompatible. What it suggests is that the way we think about wealth, success, and happiness needs to shift. Instead of seeing wealth as an end goal, we can view it as a tool, a means to support the things that truly matter. For some, that might mean using wealth to create more free time, allowing them to spend afternoons with loved ones, or pursue passions like art, music, or travel. For others, It might mean using financial resources to make a positive impact on their community, supporting charitable causes, or helping those in need. When wealth is aligned with personal values and a sense of purpose, it often leads to greater satisfaction and fulfillment. This alignment also involves redefining what success means. True success isn't just about accumulating more money. It's about creating a life that feels meaningful, balanced, and rewarding. For many, this means focusing on non-material forms of wealth, such as strong relationships, personal growth, and a sense of contribution to the world. Someone who feels deeply connected to their family, who enjoys meaningful work, and who has time to engage in activities they love, may feel far more successful than someone who earns a high salary but feels lonely, stressed, or unfulfilled. In this sense, success is a deeply personal concept. It's not about meeting external benchmarks. It's about defining what happiness means for you and using your financial resources to support that vision. Research has also shown that how we spend our money matters as much, if not more, than how much we have. Spending on experiences like travel, learning a new skill, or attending a concert tends to bring more lasting happiness than spending on material goods. Experiences create memories, deepen connections with others, and provide a sense of growth and enrichment that a new gadget or piece of clothing rarely offers. Similarly, spending money on others, whether through gifts, donations, or acts of kindness, has been shown to boost happiness. Giving connects us to something larger than ourselves, reinforces a sense of abundance, and reminds us of the positive impact we can have on the world around us. Ultimately, the relationship between wealth, success, and happiness is not linear. More money can certainly ease financial stress and open doors to new opportunities, but it is not a guaranteed path to fulfillment. True happiness comes from understanding what matters most to you, aligning your financial resources with those priorities, and cultivating a life that feels meaningful and balanced. By shifting our focus from simply accumulating wealth to using it intentionally and thoughtfully, we can create a more satisfying and rewarding relationship with money, one that supports not just our financial goals, but our deeper aspirations for a happy and meaningful life. Money and the brain. What happens inside our minds when we make financial decisions? This seemingly straightforward question has intrigued neuroscientists, psychologists, and economists for decades. Money is, after all, a human construct. Bits of metal, pieces of paper, or digital figures on a screen. Yet it exerts immense influence over our thoughts, feelings, and actions. We know that financial choices are not purely logical. Emotions, habits, and deeply ingrained beliefs play a significant role. But what does that look like on a neurological level? By exploring how our brains process money, risk, and reward, we can begin to understand the intricate relationship between our biology and our behavior, shedding light on why we make the choices we do and how we might make better ones in the future. At the core of our brain's interaction with money is the reward system. This network of neural pathways is designed to help us evaluate what's valuable and guide us toward behaviors that improve our chances of survival. In the distant past, these circuits helped early humans prioritize actions that would secure food, shelter, and safety. In the modern world, money has become a key stand-in for these basic needs. As a result, when we receive a financial reward, whether it's a bonus at work, a winning lottery ticket, or even finding a forgotten $20 bill, our brain's reward centers light up, releasing dopamine and giving us a pleasurable sense of achievement. This surge of dopamine not only makes us feel good in the moment, but also reinforces the behavior that led to the reward, encouraging us to repeat it. This response to financial rewards is not inherently problematic. In fact, it's a natural and useful mechanism. However, it can also lead us into certain behavioral traps. For instance, the immediate pleasure of receiving money might prompt us to focus more on short-term gains than long-term planning. This is why many people find it easier to spend a windfall than to save it. The brain's reward system craves the immediate hit of dopamine that comes from buying something we want or indulging in a special treat, while the longer-term benefits of saving, though intellectually compelling, don't provide the same instant gratification. Understanding this neurological bias towards short-term rewards can help us recognize when our brains are nudging us toward impulsive decisions and give us the chance to pause and consider more deliberate choices. Closely tied to the brain's reward pathways is its response to risk. Money-related decisions often involve weighing potential rewards against potential losses, and our brains are hardwired to handle these scenarios in complex and sometimes surprising ways. The amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep within the brain, plays a critical role in processing fear and threat. When we face a risky financial situation, such as considering a high-stakes investment or the possibility of a sudden expense, the amygdala activates, heightening our awareness and pushing us toward caution. This is one reason why people often feel an emotional jolt when they see the value of their investments drop or encounter an unexpected financial challenge. The brain is signaling that there's a potential danger, and that signal can lead us to take protective measures. Yet the brain doesn't always treat all risks the same way. In addition to the amygdala's fear response, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking and long-term planning, also gets involved. This part of the brain helps us analyze probabilities, consider various outcomes, and weigh the pros and cons of different options. Ideally, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala work together, balancing the emotional and logical aspects of financial decisions. However, under certain conditions, such as high stress or strong emotional reactions, the amygdala's influence can overwhelm the prefrontal cortex. This is why people sometimes make hasty, fear-driven choices during market downturns, selling off investments in a panic, rather than sticking to a long-term strategy. By understanding how these parts of the brain interact, we can recognize when fear might be skewing our decisions and take steps to bring our more rational processes back online. Another intriguing aspect of the brain's response to money is the way it processes gains versus losses. Behavioral economists have long noted that people tend to feel the pain of losses more acutely than the pleasure of equivalent gains, a phenomenon known as loss aversion. Neuroimaging studies confirm that different regions of the brain are involved when we experience financial losses compared to gains. Losses often trigger stronger activity in areas like the anterior insula, which is associated with emotional responses such as pain and disgust. This heightened reaction can lead to what some researchers call myopic loss aversion, where individuals become so focused on avoiding losses that they miss out on potential gains. For example, a person might avoid investing in the stock market altogether because they fear the possibility of losing money, even if long-term evidence shows that a diversified portfolio is likely to grow over time. By understanding this neural bias toward avoiding loss, we can work on strategies to mitigate its impact, such as setting clear investment goals, maintaining a long-term perspective, and using automatic contributions to make saving and investing feel less emotionally charged. The brain's complex relationship with money extends beyond immediate decisions. Over time, financial habits become deeply ingrained, forming mental shortcuts, known as heuristics, that guide our day-to-day behavior. These shortcuts are shaped by both our personal experiences and our broader environment. For example, someone who grew up in a household where money was always tight might develop a mental framework that prioritizes frugality and caution. Their brain associates spending with risk and saving with safety, and these associations can persist long into adulthood. Conversely, someone who grew up in an environment of abundance might have a more relaxed attitude toward money, viewing it as a renewable resource rather than something to be carefully guarded. These mental shortcuts aren't necessarily right or wrong. They're simply reflections of the brain's ability to adapt to its environment. However, becoming aware of these patterns can help us assess whether they still serve us. If a deeply ingrained belief about money is causing stress, limiting opportunities, or preventing healthy financial growth, we can work to reshape that mindset, much as we would form a new habit or learn a new skill. In recent years, the field of neuroeconomics, an interdisciplinary area combining neuroscience, psychology, and economics, has provided new insights into how the brain handles complex financial decisions. Researchers have used brain imaging techniques like functional MRI, fMRI, to observe which neural circuits are activated when people choose between different financial options. They've found that the brain doesn't simply light up in one area when thinking about money. Instead, it engages multiple networks that deal with reward, risk, emotion, and logic. These findings reinforce the idea that financial behavior is never purely rational or purely emotional. Instead, it's a dynamic process where different parts of the brain weigh in, sometimes complementing each other and sometimes pulling in opposite directions. Understanding the brain's role in financial decision-making has practical implications for how we approach our finances. By recognizing that our brains are naturally wired to seek immediate rewards, fear losses, and rely on habitual patterns, we can develop strategies to counteract these biases. For instance, we might create automatic saving and investing systems that take emotion out of the equation. We might practice mindfulness techniques to reduce the impact of stress and bring the rational parts of our brain back into focus. We might educate ourselves about the long-term benefits of investing so that when our fear of loss flares up, we have a clear plan to follow. In the end, understanding the neural underpinnings of our financial behavior is about more than just identifying patterns in brain activity. It's about recognizing that our financial lives are deeply human, shaped by biology, experience, and emotion. By exploring the connections between money and the brain, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the forces that drive our decisions. With this knowledge, we can approach our finances with greater awareness, making choices that not only align with our goals, but also reflect a balanced, thoughtful approach to managing our resources over the long term. Money as a tool for transformation. Money holds a unique position in our lives. It's not just a medium of exchange or a measure of value. It's a force that can shape the course of our personal journeys, our relationships, and our communities. While society often encourages us to chase wealth for the sake of having more, a closer look reveals that money's greatest power lies in what it allows us to do. It's a tool, one that, when used intentionally, can lead to profound personal growth, strengthen our connections to others, and help us build a legacy that extends far beyond our own lifetimes. Rather than thinking of money as an end goal, we can see it as a means of transformation, one that enables us to align our financial decisions with our deepest values and aspirations. Historically, the way money has been viewed depends greatly on cultural, religious, and philosophical perspectives. In many spiritual traditions, money itself is not inherently good or evil. Instead, it's the way we approach and use it that determines its moral and ethical implications. In ancient teachings, ranging from the Judeo-Christian ethic of stewardship to Buddhist principles of detachment and compassion. Money is often portrayed as a resource to be managed wisely and shared generously. These traditions emphasize that wealth, while offering comfort and security, carries responsibilities. When we recognize money as something entrusted to us rather than as a possession to hoard, we open the door to using it in ways that benefit not just ourselves, but the people and communities around us. In modern times, ethical and moral considerations around money have taken on new dimensions. As consumers, we make countless financial choices every day. The products we buy, the companies we support, and the investments we make all reflect our priorities and values. In recent years, movements advocating for conscious consumerism and socially responsible investing have gained momentum. People are increasingly aware that their financial decisions can have far-reaching consequences. Do we support businesses that uphold ethical labor practices, protect the environment, and contribute to social equity? Or do we prioritize short-term convenience and lower costs, regardless of the impact? These questions challenge us to think more deeply about how we use money. By aligning our spending and investing habits with our principles, we can leverage money as a tool to promote fairness, sustainability, and justice. The transformative power of money becomes even more evident when we look at the impact of philanthropy. Giving, whether it's through donations to charities, funding for education, or contributions to healthcare initiatives, can ripple out in ways that are both tangible and intangible. A single scholarship can change the trajectory of a student's life, opening doors to opportunities they might never have otherwise. A donation to a community food bank can provide relief to struggling families, helping them focus on long-term stability rather than daily survival. Even small acts of giving, buying a meal for someone in need or supporting a local fundraiser, create a sense of connection and shared purpose. This power to give extends beyond traditional philanthropy. Many individuals choose to use their financial resources to support causes that align with their personal values. For instance, someone passionate about environmental sustainability might fund renewable energy projects, help preserve natural habitats, or contribute to research on climate change mitigation. These choices transform money from a mere financial asset into a vehicle for meaningful change. They demonstrate that wealth, when directed thoughtfully, can go beyond material comforts and instead serve as a catalyst for creating a better world. But transformation through money is not limited to large-scale philanthropy. On a more personal level, the way we handle money can lead to profound changes in how we see ourselves and how we live our lives. Consider the impact of managing debt effectively. For someone buried under the weight of credit card bills, student loans, or medical expenses, taking control of their finances can feel liberating. It's not just about improving their bank balance. It's about gaining a sense of agency and freedom. As they pay down debt and build an emergency fund, they experience less stress, greater confidence, and a renewed ability to focus on their goals. Over time, this financial stability can lead to a healthier, more peaceful state of mind, a transformation that goes far beyond the numbers. Similarly, saving and investing with intention can create opportunities for personal growth and exploration. By setting aside money for education, travel, or starting a small business, individuals can pursue their passions and broaden their horizons. For example, someone who saves diligently to fund a year of study abroad doesn't just gain knowledge of a new subject. They also experience different cultures, form lasting friendships, and develop a more nuanced worldview. In this way, money becomes a bridge to personal enrichment, allowing people to step outside their comfort zones and grow in ways that would have been difficult without financial preparation. Even downsizing, intentionally choosing to live with less, can be transformative. Some individuals find that simplifying their lifestyle not only reduces financial stress, but also deepens their appreciation for what truly matters. By spending less on material possessions and focusing more on experiences, relationships, and personal growth, they shift their perspective on wealth and abundance. This transformation is not about giving up comfort, but about rediscovering meaning. It's a conscious choice to align financial behavior with values, resulting in a life that feels richer, not because of what's owned, but because of what's experienced and cherished. Transformation through money is also about legacy. People often think of legacy in terms of inheritance, passing down assets to future generations. But legacy can take many forms. It's about how we use our financial resources to create a lasting impact. For some, that might mean establishing a foundation, funding scholarships, or supporting cultural institutions. For others, it might mean teaching children the importance of financial responsibility, generosity, and ethical decision-making. A thoughtful legacy reflects the values we hold dear and ensures that the benefits of our financial choices extend far into the future. In this sense, money becomes more than a personal resource. It becomes a conduit for transmitting our principles, priorities, and hopes to the next generation. Ultimately, the transformative power of money lies in our ability to shape its meaning and purpose. When we view money solely as a means of acquiring material wealth, its potential is limited. But when we see it as a tool for building connections, fostering growth, and making a difference, it becomes a force for profound change. It enables us to move beyond our immediate needs and wants and toward a vision of a better life, not just for ourselves, but for our families, communities, and the world at large. Through conscious spending, thoughtful giving, and intentional saving and investing, we can harness money's power to align our financial actions with our deepest values, creating a life that is not only financially stable, but deeply meaningful and fulfilling. Global and societal perspectives. The role of money extends far beyond personal budgets and individual wealth. At a global scale, money becomes a force that shapes entire societies, drives economic policies, and influences the well-being of billions of people. How wealth is distributed, how financial systems operate, and how individuals and governments navigate economic challenges can reveal a great deal about the state of the world. While some enjoy immense prosperity, others face severe inequality. The decisions made about money by individuals, institutions, and nations ripple outward, affecting everything from education and healthcare access to social stability and environmental sustainability. One of the most pressing issues at the global level is economic inequality. Across the world, wealth is concentrated in the hands of a relatively small number of individuals and corporations, while millions of others struggle to meet their basic needs. According to data from the World Bank and other international organizations, the richest 1% of people control a significant share of the planet's wealth. Meanwhile, billions of people live on less than $2 a day. This gap between the richest and the poorest has been widening for decades, driven by factors such as globalization, technological change, tax policies, and financial market dynamics. Economic inequality isn't just a matter of numbers, it has profound societal consequences. Studies show that countries with high levels of inequality often experience greater social unrest, political polarization, and health disparities. In communities where poverty is widespread, children have fewer opportunities to access quality education, clean water, and healthcare. Over time, this lack of access perpetuates a cycle of poverty, making it harder for individuals and families to break free from their circumstances. The resulting economic stagnation not only hurts those at the bottom of the income ladder, but also hampers overall economic growth. Societies with a more equitable distribution of resources tend to be healthier, more stable, and more resilient in the face of global challenges. Inequality also manifests across nations. Developed countries with advanced financial systems and robust social safety nets have greater resources to weather economic shocks. Emerging economies, on the other hand, often face significant barriers to growth, including debt burdens, volatile markets, and reliance on a narrow range of industries. Many of these nations are still grappling with the legacy of colonialism, resource extraction, and exploitative trade practices. Their economic struggles are not merely the result of internal policies or inefficiencies. They are deeply connected to the global financial system and historical power dynamics. In recent years, behavioral economics and public policy have sought ways to address these disparities. The concept of nudges, subtle interventions that guide people toward better financial and health decisions, has been applied in numerous contexts. For example, governments and organizations have introduced automatic enrollment in retirement savings plans, default contributions to pension funds, and tax incentives for sustainable investments. These policies recognize that people often face cognitive biases, such as inertia or loss aversion, that prevent them from making the best financial choices. By designing systems that make positive financial behaviors easier and more automatic, policymakers aim to improve individual well-being and, by extension, strengthen the broader economy. Universal Basic Income, UBI, has also emerged as a topic of discussion in addressing global inequality and changing work landscapes. The idea behind UBI is straightforward: provide all citizens with a guaranteed, unconditional income to meet their basic needs. Proponents argue that UBI could help reduce poverty, empower individuals to pursue education and entrepreneurship, and provide a safety net as automation and artificial intelligence reshape labor markets. Opponents, however, worry about the costs of implementation, potential inflationary effects, and the risk of discouraging work. Pilot programs in countries like Finland, Kenya, and Canada have produced mixed results, but they continue to inform global debates about how best to support people in an era of rapid economic and technological change. Another significant global trend is the rise of digital currencies and decentralized finance, DeFi. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum C have captured global attention, not just as speculative investments, but as tools for financial inclusion. In regions where traditional banking services are scarce or unreliable, cryptocurrencies offer a way for people to store and transfer value without relying on centralized institutions. Blockchain technology, which underpins many of these currencies, has the potential to increase transparency, reduce corruption, and create more efficient financial systems. However, it also raises questions about regulation, environmental impact, due to energy-intensive mining processes, and the stability of decentralized financial networks. As nations grapple with these issues, the global financial landscape is being reshaped in real time, with potential implications for everything from remittances to international trade. Climate change and environmental sustainability have also brought money's societal role into sharp focus. How we invest, consume, and produce goods has a direct impact on the planet. Increasingly, investors and corporations are being called upon to adopt green finance principles, allocating capital to projects that reduce carbon emissions, promote renewable energy, and support sustainable development. Governments, too, are using financial tools such as carbon pricing, subsidies for clean energy, and penalties for pollution to incentivize more environmentally friendly behavior. While these efforts are still in their early stages, they highlight the ways in which financial systems can be harnessed to address global challenges. By directing money towards sustainable initiatives, nations can help mitigate climate change, protect biodiversity, and ensure a healthier planet for future generations. Social attitudes toward money and wealth also play a crucial role in shaping societal outcomes. Cultural differences influence how people view wealth accumulation, debt, saving, and philanthropy. In some countries, frugality and saving are highly valued, leading to high household savings rates and greater financial resilience. In others, consumer spending is seen as a driver of economic growth, leading to higher levels of household debt, but also more dynamic markets. Understanding these cultural factors can help policymakers and organizations design financial systems and educational programs that resonate with local populations. For instance, in regions where informal economies dominate, microfinance initiatives, small loans to entrepreneurs, have proven highly effective in empowering individuals, especially women, to start businesses and improve their living standards. The global nature of money means that no country or individual is truly isolated in their financial decisions. International trade, foreign aid, investment flows, and remittances create a web of interconnected financial relationships. This interdependence can bring benefits, such as access to global markets and foreign capital, but it also introduces vulnerabilities. Economic crises in one part of the world can quickly ripple across borders, as we saw during the 2008 global financial crisis. In these moments, international cooperation becomes essential. Institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, World Bank, and regional development banks play a critical role in stabilizing economies, providing financial assistance, and promoting long-term growth. However, these institutions also face criticism for imposing austerity measures, favoring donor countries, or failing to address the root causes of economic inequality. At the same time, grassroots movements and local solutions are increasingly challenging the top-down approach of traditional financial institutions. Community-based savings groups, cooperative banks, and localized currency systems are empowering individuals to take greater control of their financial futures. These models emphasize mutual support, trust, and shared responsibility, offering an alternative to the often impersonal and profit-driven global financial system. While these approaches may not replace traditional institutions, they provide valuable lessons about resilience, community engagement, and the human dimension of finance. In the end, understanding money from a global and societal perspective requires looking beyond our personal financial concerns. It means acknowledging the interconnectedness of economies, the historical and cultural contexts that shape financial systems, and the policies and innovations that can drive positive change. Practical applications and actionable insights. When it comes to money, knowing what to do is often much easier than actually doing it. The gulf between understanding a principle, like spending less than you earn, and consistently applying it in real life can be surprisingly wide. That's why turning knowledge into action is so important. Practical applications and actionable insights are what transform abstract financial concepts into daily habits, routines, and decisions that ultimately shape your financial future. By focusing on specific, realistic steps and learning how to build momentum through small but meaningful changes, you can create a financial system that works for you rather than against you. A foundational approach to improving your financial well-being is to develop a healthy money mindset. This isn't about repeating empty affirmations. It's about reshaping the way you think about money so that it serves your goals rather than creating stress or confusion. For instance, if you grew up with a scarcity mindset, feeling that there's never enough money and that financial security is always out of reach, it can be helpful to reframe your perspective. Start by acknowledging the financial resources you do have and recognizing the opportunities to make the most of them. Instead of focusing solely on limitations, think about how you can use your current income, skills, and assets to build a more secure future. Practicing gratitude, even for small financial wins, such as saving a few extra dollars or paying down a bit of debt, can shift your mindset from one of fear and worry to one of empowerment and possibility. Daily affirmations, while not a solution on their own, can reinforce a healthier relationship with money. For example, you might remind yourself each morning, I am capable of making smart financial decisions. Over time, these positive messages can help counter negative beliefs that might have held you back in the past. Pairing affirmations with a tangible action, like reviewing your bank accounts or transferring a small amount to savings, turns the mental shift into a practical step forward. Mindfulness practices can also help. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting quietly, it's about becoming more aware of your thoughts and feelings, especially in moments of stress. When you find yourself worrying about a bill, a loan, or a large expense, take a step back, pause for a moment, and observe your thoughts without judgment. Ask yourself, what's triggering my stress? Is this fear based on reality, or is it tied to past experiences or assumptions? Once you've identified the source of your anxiety, you can approach the issue more rationally. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you might see a clear path forward, like contacting a lender to discuss payment options, cutting a discretionary expense, or setting up a plan to gradually tackle the debt. Another actionable insight is to use gratitude practices to curb impulse spending. When you feel tempted to make an unplanned purchase, take a moment to reflect on what you already have. Consider the things you value most: your home, your health, your relationships, and remind yourself that your happiness and fulfillment aren't solely tied to material possessions. By focusing on gratitude, you can break the habit of using shopping as a quick emotional fix and instead channel your financial resources toward long-term goals that truly matter to you. Building financial resilience is another critical area for practical application. One of the best ways to protect yourself from unexpected setbacks is to establish an emergency fund. While this may sound daunting at first, the key is to start small. If you don't currently have a safety net, begin by saving just $10 or $20 a week. Over time, this small but consistent effort can grow into a cushion that provides peace of mind. As your financial situation improves, you can increase your contributions. The important thing is to start now, even if it's with a modest amount, and to treat your emergency fund as a priority. Contingency plans are also an essential part of financial resilience. Think about the what-ifs that could disrupt your finances: losing a job, facing unexpected medical expenses, or dealing with a major home repair. While you can't prevent every emergency, you can prepare for them. Review your insurance coverage, health, home, auto, and life, and make sure it's adequate for your needs. Consider creating a list of alternative income sources, such as freelance work, selling unused items, or tapping into a skill you've developed. Having a backup plan in place can reduce stress and help you bounce back more quickly if something goes wrong. Long-term wealth and legacy planning is another area where practical steps can make a lasting impact. Start by clarifying your financial goals. Are you saving for a comfortable retirement, helping your children pay for college, or leaving a charitable legacy? Once you know what you're working toward, you can create a roadmap. For instance, if retirement is your primary goal, determine how much you'll need and break that figure into smaller, manageable milestones. Automate your savings by setting up direct contributions to a retirement account or an investment portfolio. Over time, these automatic deposits will add up, helping you reach your goal without requiring constant effort. Estate planning is also a crucial aspect of legacy building. It's not just for the wealthy, it's for anyone who wants to ensure that their assets are distributed according to their wishes and that their loved ones are cared for. Begin by drafting a will, updating beneficiaries on retirement accounts and insurance policies, and considering a power of attorney to manage your affairs if you become incapacitated. As your financial situation evolves, revisit these documents periodically to ensure they remain accurate and aligned with your goals. By taking these steps now, you can provide clarity and peace of mind for yourself and your family in the future. Another way to create a legacy is through charitable giving. If supporting a cause is important to you, explore ways to incorporate philanthropy into your financial plan. You might establish a donor-advised fund, set up a scholarship, or make regular contributions to a non-profit that aligns with your values. These actions not only help others, but also reinforce your sense of purpose and deepen your connection to the community. They remind you that money is more than a means of survival. It's a tool that can be used to make a positive, lasting impact on the world. Continuous learning and personal growth are also vital to long-term financial success. The more you know about managing money, investing, and planning for the future, the more confident and effective you'll become. Consider reading books, taking online courses, or attending workshops that cover topics like budgeting, retirement planning, and stock market basics. Building your financial knowledge doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with one topic that interests you or one area where you feel uncertain and commit to learning just a little bit each week. Over time, these small efforts will compound, much like a well-invested portfolio. Self-assessment and accountability are equally important. Periodically review your financial progress. Are you meeting your savings targets? Is your debt level decreasing? Are you moving closer to your long-term goals? If you're not on track, don't be discouraged. Instead, identify what's not working and adjust your approach. Perhaps you need to revise your budget, find additional sources of income, or adjust your investment strategy. By treating these reviews as opportunities to learn and grow, you'll build a financial system that is both flexible and resilient. Accountability can also come from external sources. Sharing your goals with a trusted friend, family member, or financial advisor can provide motivation and encouragement. Regular check-ins, whether it's a monthly meeting with a financial coach or a simple conversation with a partner, help you stay focused and on course. Knowing that someone else is aware of your goals and progress can strengthen your resolve and make you more likely to follow through. In the end, practical applications and actionable insights aren't about doing everything perfectly or following a single path. They're about finding the strategies and habits that work best for you and making gradual improvements over time. By focusing on mindset, building financial resilience, setting clear goals, continuing to learn, and staying accountable, you can turn abstract financial principles into a system that supports your well-being and helps you achieve your dreams. Unbelievable cases and anecdotes. Throughout history, money has sparked some of the most intriguing, unexpected, and downright astonishing stories. Whether it's a tale of sudden riches leading to unexpected ruin, a curious experiment that flips conventional wisdom on its head, or a bizarre cultural tradition tied to wealth, these stories capture our imagination. They remind us that money isn't just a cold, rational construct. It's a deeply human force, fraught with mystery, drama, and even a touch of absurdity. By exploring these unbelievable cases and anecdotes, we not only entertain ourselves, but also gain new insights into how people think, feel, and act when faced with extraordinary financial situations. Consider, for instance, the classic tale of lottery winners who lose it all. The media is filled with stories of individuals who go from rags to riches overnight, only to find themselves in financial despair a few years later. One of the most infamous examples is Jack Whittaker, a West Virginia businessman who won a $315 million Powerball jackpot in 2002. At first, his story seemed like a dream come true. He donated millions to charity, gave generous gifts to friends and family, and lived a life of luxury. But the money also brought unexpected challenges. He faced lawsuits, robberies, and family tragedy. Over time, his relationships deteriorated and his fortune dwindled. Whittaker himself reflected on his experience, calling the lottery win a curse rather than a blessing. His story underscores the emotional and psychological complexities that come with sudden wealth. It challenges the assumption that more money always equals more happiness, revealing how unprepared many people are to handle a sudden influx of fortune. There are also remarkable stories of financial comebacks that defy the odds. One such tale is that of Harry Markowitz, the economist, who won a Nobel Prize for his groundbreaking work in portfolio theory. Despite his expertise in finance, Markowitz admitted in interviews that he didn't always follow his own advice when it came to investing. Early in his career, he made investment decisions that didn't align with his own mathematical models, leading to missed opportunities. Yet over time, he learned from his mistakes, adjusted his approach, and built a solid financial foundation. His journey illustrates that even the most knowledgeable minds can make missteps, but with persistence and a willingness to adapt, financial success is still within reach. Markowitz's story reminds us that the path to financial stability is not always a straight line. It's often a series of lessons learned along the way. Another category of unbelievable cases involves surprising psychological experiments that reveal how our brains handle money. One famous study by researchers at the University of Minnesota demonstrated that simply handling cash could reduce physical pain. Participants who held money before submerging their hands in ice-cold water reported less pain than those who handled blank pieces of paper. This unexpected finding highlights the deep psychological associations we have with money. Beyond its buying power, cash seems to trigger feelings of security and control, which can influence not only our financial choices, but also our physical sensations. It's a quirky, yet profound reminder of how closely intertwined our emotions and finances are. Then there's the curious phenomenon of found money and how people treat it differently from earned money. Imagine finding a $20 bill on the sidewalk. Research shows that people are more likely to spend this windfall money on non-essential items, such as a fancy coffee or a small treat, compared to money they've earned through work. This phenomenon is linked to a concept known as mental accounting. When we stumble upon unexpected cash, we tend to view it as separate from our regular budget, making it feel more like a bonus to be spent freely. In contrast, money earned through effort is often viewed as more valuable and therefore treated more cautiously. Understanding this quirk of human behavior can help us think twice before splurging on a windfall and consider how we might put it to better use. Cultural traditions around money add another layer of fascination. In parts of Southeast Asia, for instance, some people burn paper replicas of money, known as joss paper, during funerals and festivals. This practice is believed to provide financial support and comfort to deceased loved ones in the afterlife. While the custom might seem unusual from a Western perspective, it reflects a deeply rooted cultural belief in the enduring power of wealth, even beyond the physical world. Similarly, in certain regions of China, people follow feng shui principles to arrange their homes and offices in ways that are thought to attract wealth and prosperity. From the placement of furniture to the choice of colors, these practices reveal a rich tapestry of traditions that connect money to spiritual and symbolic dimensions. Superstitions and rituals surrounding money are not limited to specific cultures. They pop up around the world. In some parts of Europe, people carry a lucky coin or bill in their wallets, believing that it will attract more money over time. Others might perform small rituals, such as rubbing their hands together after receiving a paycheck, to ensure financial success. While these practices might seem irrational, they offer insight into how deeply ingrained our desire for financial stability is. Even in the face of modern banking systems and digital currencies, these ancient beliefs persist, highlighting the timeless human need to feel secure and in control of our financial futures. Another striking case is that of historical money mistakes. One infamous example is the Dutch tulip mania of the 1630s, often considered one of the first recorded financial bubbles. During this period, the price of tulip bulbs skyrocketed, with some rare varieties selling for more than the average worker earned in a year. People mortgaged their homes, sold valuable possessions, and borrowed heavily just to get in on the action. When the market eventually collapsed, many were left bankrupt. Tulip mania serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of speculation and the powerful role that social pressures and irrational exuberance can play in financial decision-making. In more recent history, the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s offers a similar lesson. Investors poured money into internet-based companies with little regard for their profitability or long-term viability. At the height of the bubble, startups with no revenue streams saw their stock prices soar. When the bubble burst in the early 2000s, it wiped out trillions of dollars in market value, devastating countless portfolios. Yet, as painful as these events were, they also paved the way for new financial regulations, technological innovation, and more cautious investing practices. They illustrate how even monumental mistakes can lead to valuable lessons and a more informed approach to handling money. These unbelievable cases and anecdotes remind us that money is more than just numbers on a balance sheet. It's a source of endless fascination, complexity, and humanity. From lottery winners who lose it all to cultural rituals that connect wealth to the afterlife, these stories show that our relationship with money is as rich and varied as life itself. By exploring these remarkable tales, we gain not only a deeper understanding of the financial world, but also a greater appreciation for the ways in which money shapes our lives, for better or for worse.